Leftists have this, red pillars have this, conservatives have this. The problem is that people have a really hard time taking responsibility for what exists in their life and then building on and working on what they can improve. So they have to externalize and blame other parties. So for red pillars, it's slut women and feminism. For progressives, it's white people and colonialists. For conservatives, it's the deep state and Jews, depending on how far right you go. Nobody can just ever be like, hey, some things in life suck. This is what I have. This is what I can work on, and let's go from there. Everybody needs some huge bad guy. I'm probably really lucky, I guess, that I had a conservative upbringing or some shit. Or I would have spent my whole time through college crying about being poor, or not having my mom and dad to support me, or having to work, or blah, blah, blah. Like, if you're a guy and you walk through life blaming women with high body counts and songs by Nicki Minaj and feminism and all that shit for why you don't have a girlfriend, like, it must be so disempowering that no matter what you do, it's all gonna be out of your control anyway, because there's gonna be a song that tells women to twerk instead of be submissive or something.
You heard your rant about big bad men? Who's your big bad man?
It's not red pill to not want a whore. It's red pill to think a girl with a body count of over 2 makes her a whore. Yes. It's red pill and retarded. I don't understand why you're shocked the red pill when it's easily closer to normative than polyamorous. No, the red pill is adjacent, is completely orthogonal to trad and normie. Most people don't ask partners their body count when they start dating. That's an incredibly abnormal thing. Like, somebody might not want a girl that's like 50 guys, but it's also one-sided relationships are not normal. That's not normal. Thinking that a girl is a slut because she's had 4 or 5 partners, that's not a normal take. That is an incredibly red pill take. The idea that a guy can have 50 bodies and a girl can have 0 and that's a good relationship, that's not a normie take. The idea that you shouldn't live with the woman you're dating, that's not a normie take. No, red pill is nowhere near like the normal actual takes that most people have. If it's not normal, why do women lie about body count? They might, I don't know, but guys probably do too. Girls do care, but you're not gonna know that if you're a virgin. How would you deal with the resentment that men might feel because they always have to initiate social risk, i.e. 99% of approaches, like if you keep falling over and over while the other side doesn't even try? I don't know, dude. I don't know. If I was in a red pill space, I would say that women should try harder to equalize the dating standards so that the onus isn't always on men to do things because that's not a fair thing or whatever. But now that I'm out of those spaces, I would say grow a pair of balls, and if you don't have the guts to walk up to one and ask her, you probably don't deserve to get laid anyway. Ask me when I'm on like some red pill show and I give you like a nicer answer. Listen, it's just more bitches for people like me if you're too scared to even ask a girl out. What's wrong with them today? I've just been so irritated like coddling weak men for so long. Like, I think that the people that fill these spaces that are like the super judgmental of the women and the body counts and all this shit, it's just like the weakest form of like weak man feeling. And then it's even more irritating because you've all like, or these people have all fooled themselves, and I guess their audience is into thinking that like they're the strong men. Some guy that obsesses over like how many men women have are obsessed with like shitting on women all day, and I feel like to anybody with any amount of insecurity, like it's so obvious how like rapidly insecure these people are. No, there's so many other things in life and compatibility and relationships. There's no thing on this guy than obsessing over fucking body counts. That's like a child's question. That's like asking like, what's your favorite Play-Doh or Lego set? It's fucking retarded. I can't imagine ever like trying to figure out compatibility with a woman based on fucking body count. Unless you were like maybe like an ultra conservative or like a religious conservative, a real conservative, not somebody who fucking LARPs as one on YouTube channels. Would you date somebody with a 0 body count? Probably not, but it's not gonna be because they have a 0 body count. It's probably gonna be because we're not aligning on a whole bunch of other values. Much the same if there was a girl with a body count of like 1,000, probably also wouldn't date her. But it's not because we don't, it's not because she has 1,000 body count. It's probably just because the way that she lives her life is probably way, way, way different than the way that I live my life, probably. 0 body count, that's quite rare. It's not really that rare. You just don't know where any of these girls are because you obsess over Instagram sluts. And all the red pill content creators you watch also obsess over Instagram sluts. You think that virgins don't exist. There's plenty of them in high school. There's a ton of them in college. They're out there, but you're never gonna find any of them because you don't hang out in any space where they would be caught fucking dead. It's not in fucking red pill spaces. There are studies that people with more partners get divorced more often though, right? Yeah, there are some. You know who gets divorced the most? I think it's people that start with 0 and 1 or something, and then it's like the least is like 2 or whatever. But like those percentages aren't even that far off. You can just Google like IFS. People always quote the same fucking website, that International Family Studies or something, whatever. People don't want girls with high body count because it shows a lot about their lifestyle. You literally just said since same no matter how hard you call about it. You can call it whatever you want, my dude. Whatever you want. Like, the reality is that if, like, chances are, if you're the type of guy that's watching red pill content and you're obsessed with a woman's body count, you're probably an incredibly low value person yourself. People that have done things in life, people that have achieved things in life, aren't, like, dramatically clinging on to other, like, false idols in spaces looking for guidance. Like, by definition, you are a lost bastard child of the world. That's why you're watching that content. Like, that is the target audience of red pill shit. Do I say anything to everybody who disagrees on this red pill? No. What I know to be true, my feelings on this haven't changed for probably 15, 16, 17 years. I doubt they ever will. What I know to be true is that people that are generally hardcore judgmental of other people's lifestyles or hardcore judgmental of, like, what other people do in their personal lives, more often than not have a ton of personal problems of their own. And for those types of people, the way that their weakness shows is the only way reality makes sense is if their lifestyle and what they're geared towards is absolutely the correct answer. And if other people are doing things that, like, are incongruent with that, then they have to be miserable, they have to be coping, they have to be wrong, they have to be, like, it has to like rigidly fit into that thing. And it's irritating watching weak people like that roaming the earth and then giving their opinions and judgments and everything. It's just annoying. And then watching, like, the followers that they pick up doing it, because I think to anybody else it's just sad. But listen, hey, you know, politics are right. It's coming soon. Would you say someone with higher amounts of relationship experience who also try to fuck around is more likely to know what they want, so if they actually commit to someone, they are more likely to actually say hello? Maybe, who knows? It could go either way. There's probably going to be other things that are more important to predict relationship success or whatever than just looking at the number of sexual partners they've had.
Can we please go back to 2016 debating random Trumples in chat?
Yeah, true. What do you think it would take to talk to the people to help the people you are talking about? The issue that every single fucking person has, and I don't know what causes it or why some people are built differently. Leftists have this, red pillers have this, conservatives have this. The problem is that people have a really hard time taking responsibility for what exists in their life and then building on and working on what they can improve. That just seems to be an insurmountable assignment for most people. So they have to externalize and blame other parties. So for red pillars, it's slut women and feminism. For progressives, it's white people and colonialists. For conservatives, it's the deep state and Jews, depending on how far right you go. Nobody can just ever be like, hey, some things in life suck. This is what I have. This is what I can work on, and let's go from there. Everybody needs some big bad fucking enemy or some huge bad guy or some unethical, immoral invader to fucking fight against. It is such an aggravating and irritating way to watch people progress through the world. What is it for you? I don't have a big bad guy. I have shit that I'm trying to do in my life. I've got shit that I'm trying to improve on myself. I've got stuff like, I've always just been a kind of person who's like, what do I need to do to succeed on my own? The idea of like wasting so much time externalizing all of your problems on other enemies or things is such a loser fucking mindset. I can't imagine like how many areas in my life I would have failed in or been such a loser in if I would have walked through life with that mindset. I'm so happy I didn't get fed that bullshit growing up. I'm probably really lucky, I guess, that I had a conservative upbringing or some shit, or I would have spent my whole time through college crying about being poor or not having my mom and dad to support me or having to work or blah blah blah. Like, or maybe it would have the best would have been just grow up really rich, but yeah, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine like being content with having such a loser fucking mindset, or how much of a loser you must feel in real life. Like if you're a guy and you walk through life blaming women with high body counts and songs by Nicki Minaj and feminism and all that shit for why you don't have a girlfriend, like it must be so disempowering and so hopeless feeling, like legitimately feel fucking horrible to know that that no matter what you do, it's all going to be out of your control anyway, because there's going to be a song that tells women to twerk instead of be submissive or some shit. When I talk to ultra normie friends with GFs, they do care about body counts, but it could be the area I live. They don't blame them, but they just think of them as sluts. Sure, and you could be, but generally, you're not generally just looking at body counts. It's usually the behavior that goes along with it. Body counts is really reductive. But women care about guys with high body counts, kind of, but it doesn't come in the form of body counts. Body counts is like a Play-Doh question, like what's your favorite crayon? It's usually other behaviors you're looking for. So like, people say like, oh, women don't care about guys with body counts. Women absolutely care about boys, and they will try to stay away from you if they think that you're playing them. If a woman is looking for a guy to start a relationship and she thinks you're just looking to ditch, she's not going to want to fuck with you. Like that's the case. And then same thing with a guy and a girl. If a guy finds a girl and she like checks all of his boxes and she's doing everything for him that he wants and she's got a high body count, that guy's not going to give a fuck. Like you guys are fucking delusional, especially like those of you out there that are virgins thinking like, oh, if I found like the perfect girl for me and I found out that she fucked 12 guys in college, I'd turn it on. No, you wouldn't. Or if you would, at the end of the day, it would just be on some like really weird like self-esteem shit where you're just like, oh, I can't help but think of her with some other guy, or oh, blah blah blah. It's gonna be some shit that you're mind fucking yourself to. And maybe if you're 95 IQ, you're a bit smarter than the average red pillar, you'll find some bullshit way to like externalize this onto some ideology, try to make it make sense. But at the end of the day, it's just gonna be self-sabotage. The reason I liked how Destiny originally approached the red pill stuff was because he was willing to admit that some of the things they preached were probably helping them. It's sad to me that there are probably Tate or FNF fans whose lives are better than they've been before writing Destiny off because he doesn't account at all for the improvements they've seen anymore. I don't give them credit for that. People talk about how these people are such amazing self-improvers. No, they're not. If you want amazing self-improvement, go read something by Dale Carnegie. Go watch Tony Robbins or whatever. That's good self-improvement. Watching some fucking guy that shits on women for 12 hours and then says invest in real estate or work on yourself or go to the gym, that's self-improvement for you? Bro, kill yourself. How fucking weak and retarded are you that you need some guy that's your virtual daddy to tell you to go to the gym and invest your money? Like, come on, no, you don't get credit for that. If that's all you needed to improve your life, there's 50 billion other things that you could have done. Fuck, I'm sure there are a lot of fucking Nazi SS soldiers that probably started hitting the gym more and improving their life when they felt like they could blame all their problems on the Jews. But no, I'm not gonna give you fucking credit for that. If I actually saw videos of these guys like giving like actually good self-improvement advice or self-improvement tips, I'd probably feel a little bit different, but it's always like the most generic dog advice in the world. Like, wow, go to the gym and be a strong man. Oh my God, that's amazing advice, bro. Well, at least, like, God, oh God, it's actually so cringe. My asshole clenches when I hear that. It's like a copy-pasted research. I'm like, well, yeah, people in these spaces, they do have a lot of problems, but at least they help men help themselves with the most generic copy-pasted fortune cookie advice ever. Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. This guy taught you about drop shipping and Rolexes. This guy taught you to go to the gym and eat less. This guy said don't get fat and invest in real estate. Like, wow, bro. And then they spent the other 15 hours talking about how feminism is evil. Oh my God. Give me the bro, I'm sure there are multi-level marketing companies that have improved people's lives. I'm sure some people have finished selling Cutco knives and they've come out with better work discipline. I'm sure there are people that have done Amway and Mary Kay that have come out with better sales techniques. But by and large, the ideology is fucking trash. Just because on accident along the way it managed to help a few fucking retards that couldn't open literally any self-help book in the world and become like marginally better off, doesn't mean I'm gonna give that movement credit for it. How cringe. Everybody wants to feel like they're some fucking part of some stupid fucking holy war. That's why these Muslims in the Middle East, are not in the Middle East, in Europe, that went to join ISIS because they felt like Europe wasn't their homeland and they didn't have a good place and they needed some ideological calling or whatever. So they go join ISIS and go murder Kurds in Iraq or some shit because they felt like they're part of some greater calling. It's all the same shit. It's all the same recruitment strategies, just copy pasted with a few different nouns and adjectives changed around. Do you feel like Western people are oppressing you and preventing you from finding your purpose in life? Come fight for us. Do you feel like feminists are pushing you down and ruining you from being masculine? Come subscribe to our channel. Do you feel like Jewish people are, working together to keep down the white race? Like, come follow us on Substack. Do you feel like Fauci and the CDC are doing everything they can to keep you unhealthy? Buy my herbal supplements and Alpha Max and follow Tim Pool and Alex. Like, it's all the same shit, copy and pasted.
This is a nightmare type of a situation coming from their mouth to you. You may want to investigate these guys before we see them as experts and honorable leaders that we subscribe to whatever they tell us to do. Now, here's their objectives. I want to read to you from their website. Stay tuned. Let me just read it to you. It's not going to sound real, but let me read it to you. So look, I've been in the financial industry since 9/11, the day before 9/11, and I've owned stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, crypto, gold, you name it, I've owned it. But the one thing that's very important part of my portfolio all these years is gold. I love having a percentage of my net worth in gold that I have access to in case of many different things. Now is the time to call American Hartford Gold, a precious metal dealer you can trust.
It's like made for consumption for weak fucking losers who are like, oh, I can't navigate the world. I have to get some guy to tell me who all my enemies are and then orient my entire fucking life around blah, blah, blah. Listen, even though I ban you guys for it, at least I'm grateful that you guys disagree with me on some shit. And you should disagree with me on some shit. The idea that one individual is like your entire source of epistemic like everything in your entire fucking life because you have to orient yourself around it for everything. You guys should agree with my food takes more though, because those are generally always correct. But Christ is so fucking pathetic. All right. Why you convince the red pill audience is that way? Are you exaggerating? Because it is. Anytime you need a big bad enemy, guys, you are being dramatic. It's not that bad, really. It is that bad, really. It is that bad. It's like the fucking downfall of fucking society right now is everybody needing some big bad guy to blame everything on. Or it's like our number one, I think it's one of our biggest issues right now. That has always been an issue. Yeah, it is. That is true. It's like a feature of humankind. I don't disagree. It's not like it's new. Yeah, I shouldn't say that.
You heard your rant about big bad men. Who's your big bad man?
I don't have a big bad man. I think that people have a really hard time seeing the world as like a messy, complicated place where everybody's like trying to do their best. And anytime you have to orient around like a big bad guy, I think it shows like a severe inability to understand the world.
I think that's just the exact opposite, but the same goal that people try to accomplish with religion. It gives them guidance. But
Sure, but at the very least, at least generally speaking, from at least the three Abrahamic religions, or what I'm aware of, is religions don't try to orient around a negative force. They try to orient around a positive one. Yeah, which is
the same goal they're trying to accomplish.
A little bit, but at least that grand narrative doesn't have to have enemies. I think it's so cringe.
Every religion has sworn enemies.
Yeah, but at least they pretend not to. At least they're smart enough to realize it's bad optics. Yeah.
I think everyone, the thing you're describing is literally everyone. I think everyone in one way or another has something like that, either if it's towards negative leaning or positive, like with religion.
I mean, it can be, but it's something you should actively work against. Where you should be aware that it's a bad thing. Some people chase that. Like, I'm sure there are times in my life where I felt victimized by groups of people or unfairly blamed, like Twitch or people out there or blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that's happened. But, like, I understand that that's, like, a character flaw or defect. But for a lot of people, that's, like, the goal, is to figure out, like, who the big bad enemy is.
Yeah, it's a motivator. It's a community. It's
yeah, but then it causes you to have huge blind spots in your understanding of the world. And then it inhibits your ability to, like, navigate the world honestly. And then you make stupid mistakes and decisions.
Yeah, sure it does. I think that's the human experience, though.
It might be. I hope it's not, but maybe it is. I don't know.
We've got access to support weaponry.
You know what's really cool?
Your mom?
Hardcore WoW. You should
Jesus
play.
Christ, how fucking...
You should hop on,
That's the real enemy.
That's the big bad. It's World of Warcraft. I feel like you are kind of you hold yourself to the... Like you're the martyr against the big bad. Like you have a big bad and it's fighting big bad. You know what I mean? Does that sound stupid? Your entire crusade is trying to fight against all the big bads. So your big bad is the big bad.
Sure, there you go. It's kind of like good job. It's like when somebody says there are no absolutes and you're like, are you absolutely sure there are no absolutes?
Wait, I wasn't. Wait, what?
Good one, dude.
No. Did you not see what I'm saying? I'm just not as eloquently spoken as you. Like, I mean, your Grand Crusade is fighting the other Grand Crusades.
Yeah, there can be some big bads, but like a big bad might be like epistemic nihilism. Like, we should champion people for having good thought process. Or a big bad might be like cancer, right? There are probably okay big bads to go against. Sure.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying based on what's the most content for you, you rotate your big bads. You got like a Rolodex of big bads that it's just the most fun to argue with for that day.
Sure, but that's not really what I'm talking about when I talk about people's needs for big bads.
But isn't that your need for big bads?
No.
No? Well, then maybe I'm not understanding. Or maybe you're being disingenuous.
True. You're lucky you're not a chatter because you get banned for that one.
This is going to sound transphobic, but I'm not a transphobe, okay? But GDQ has been taken over by... Oh God, this sounds so cringe.
It already sounds cringe, yeah.
by like woke tards, I guess.
Yeah.
That like the game is less important than the community and the message it's trying to push. And then they've kind of fucking killed it. Like, its viewership has just tanked super fucking hard. And they tried to cope and say it was because they weren't doing in-person events, but then they brought back in-person events and it still sucked dick.
Wow.
I love speedrunning shit, and they've like killed it, man. It's like watching your favorite game get ruined with horrible patches. It sucks.
Hasn't that always been like cringe and shit?
GDQ? No. You watch some of the old clips of like there's always been like trans runners, and it has a big trans community.
Trans
and
stuff. I just mean like cringe content in general. I thought that was the whole.
Well, trans and cringe kind of go hand in hand.
I feel like most of the early ultra cringe shit had nothing to do with trans people. It was just.
Oh really? Because there's a lot of them out there. The chick, you remember the chick who said her? Fuck, someone's calling me. Hold on. Shut up, bitch. No, yeah, you're right, but I don't know. It wasn't all trans shit. But I'm just saying it feels like every time I tune in, it's that shit's being talked about, and it's people don't give a shit about the games anymore. They've weaponized it.
Huh.
It feels like Twitter is a live stream.
Maybe, yeah.
They ruined our games, Steven.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna see what this call's about. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Careful, babe.
It sounds like you kind of stumbled into like what's called monological belief systems.
Onological?
Yeah, monological.
Monological. What is that? Systems that are oriented around one big truth or something?
Yeah, basically it's trying to look at everything through one lens.
Oh, true, based.
And it has a lot of things, like it's highly correlated with like a conspiracy theory endorsement.
Sure, you have to fix your mic so it stops randomly cutting out every third word to half volume.
Dude,
don't know.
I have no
Thank
idea
you.
why it's been doing it.
You either have some sort of auto compressor, you've got some setting turned on Discord, or you've got some microphone that's like the aggravating setting is on. I don't know if there's like an aggravating button or...
So yeah, basically it's highly correlated with conspiracy theory endorsement, and I've been trying to like use it as a mechanism to measure whether or not people are going to like basically fall for a conspiracy theory.
Okay. Wait, what did you change?
I turned up my gain, and then I turned down the what's it called? Let me see. Input sensitivity.
Okay.
So it's better now?
Yeah, so far.
Okay. So I'm thinking about like the salience in which these monological belief systems work. Like I think it's really easy to have the big bad guy when you can picture them in your head, like conspiring against you.
Why do so few people trust Klaus Schwab and World Economic Forum? Like, why is it that they're in every single conversation of people? These guys want to control you. They want to make decisions for you. They want you to...
Oh, thank God. A 20-minute video where we're finally going to see some bad shit that Klaus Schwab has done. Certainly, it's not just going to be him randomly connecting dots from disjointed sentences from speeches throughout a decade or two, right? Finally, we're gonna see what the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab have been up to. Thank God, I've been wanting to see this for so long. I'm so hype.
INSEC's Young Global Leaders Program, which he launched in 2004, it seeks to identify and nurture the next generation of leaders, recognizes individuals under 40 for their professional accomplishments, commitment to society, and potential to contribute to shaping the future. 1,400 members, alumni of 120 nationalities, includes civic and business innovators, entrepreneurs, technology pioneers, educators, activists, artists, journalists, and many more. This list includes, and I'm going to read some more names for you.
Oh boy, another list of
Putin's
names.
one, Trudeau's another one, Merkel, Macron, Newsom, Yarden, and many others. And by the way, they divided by different industries. Let me read you some other names that you may know. Pete Buttigieg, Chelsea Clinton. I know her husband is a friend, okay, a friendly podcast guest we've had before. Nikki Haley, Adam Kinzinger, Jonathan Soros, son of George Soros, Lawrence Summers,
George
Paul
Soros,
Krugman,
contrary to many of the elite
Fareed
members of the
Zakaria,
kleptocracy that
Anderson
run this country,
Cooper, Sanjay Gupta,
is not a
Andrew
vampire.
Ross Sorkin,
He sold, he has
Thomas
the latest
Friedman,
violence
George
of all the corrupt
Stephanopoulos,
hegemons raping your
Lachlan
local
Murdoch,
elections. This one
Maria
should be injecting
Bartiromo.
adrenochrome.
Now here's for technology and social media. Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, Bezos, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, Eric Schmidt, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg. From Great Britain, Tony Blair, Niall Ferguson, Charles Allen. Remember how I told you Tulsi, Musk, and Vivek? All three were nominated, but they said, not interested. We're okay. You don't need to recognize us. Thank you, but thank you. So again, you pick and choose. You may be watching the same. I want to get nominated for this. Great, you can go get nominated for this guy. But you may say, I don't really want to get nominated. Well, here's what some people who said good things about him said, and here's what some people said bad things about World Economic Forum. Let me read both of them to you.
What are we
Number one,
supposed to
Al
learn
Gore,
from this? Like, even in
boiling the
theory, what is it
oceans,
supposed to
creating these
achieve?
atmospheric rivers.
It's basically like the goal is like, can I find something with a bunch of names and like sentences that seem spooky, and then can I link it all together and use it to sell you my particular conspiracy theory? This is a trash video. There's literally no value in watching this. But I mean, there's no value for an intelligent person watching this. But like for people that are in the Matrix or whatever the conspiracy driven or whatever, having like all the names and everything like seems really compelling. Elaborate.
So like in like media, we would always whenever there was either Power Rangers or spy movies, there'd always be a room that the bad guys would sit in and like plot against the good guys, right?
Oh, okay. So like the World Economic Forum or the United Nations or some BlackRock meeting room or...
Yeah, like that. So it's really easy to grab onto these bad guys. The more salient they are as as like someone that you can imagine doing this thing against you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about starting a project that would be basically trying to deconstruct that, and basically instead of taking that viewpoint and try to change someone's mind, like inserting something else that eventually folds into it that would kind of disrupt it. So basically, if I were trying to deprogram someone from believing that BlackRock was controlling the economy or something like that, I would think about each of the individual people, and I'd give them their actual names that are a part of the board of BlackRock, and I give them details about their lives. They went to X high school, they married their wife this year, they have this many kids, they went to this college, things like that. And then you bring it all into like, do you really think that all these people conspired to do this bad thing against you when they're really just pretty much normal people? I think that angle might bear some merit, because then it's disrupting your salience of what these people actually do. What do you think about that?
Maybe. I might just say yes, they are. Or you're missing something, but I don't know, maybe. It'd be interesting to hear you try to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
There's a paper that I read a while ago, and it's been weighing on me a lot recently. I don't know if you asked me to send this to you, if I did or maybe not, but it dealt with the difference between echo chambers and it was echo chambers and epistemic bubbles, and it made some interesting distinctions between like sometimes you just get all your news from one source, and that's like your truth basically, is like you read CNN and New York Times and a certain Twitter feed, and those people can sometimes get brainwashed, but it's only just because they get like one source of news. So if you show them something different, hold on. If you show them something different, then they're able to think of different things, right?
Yeah.
But for people that are stuck in echo chambers, there's a phenomenon that happens where you will simultaneously, not only are you only getting your information from one place, you are you're also simultaneously discrediting outside voices. So the effect is far more brutal, because oftentimes showing these people conflicting or contradictory information, it actually just reinforces their belief. And it literally becomes in epistemic impossibility of breaking this person out of where they're at, because you're either going to show them things that their bubble has approved. So like, oh, it's from Alex Jones. Oh, it's from Tim Pool. Oh, it's from Vivek. Oh, it's from Donald Trump, whatever. Or you show them something on the outside that disagrees with them, and whatever is disagreeing with them, it's literally even more proof that their echo chamber is correct. Like, of course the CDC disagrees with me. It's ran by Fauci, who is corrupt. Of course the NIH disagrees. Of course the BBC and the New York Times is because they're ran by blah, 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 right? Thing that paper details in the end that is really interesting to me, and I noticed that I did this when I was 16, just by luck, I didn't even think about, is it talks about how, like, potentially the only way that, somebody asked if I'm describing what happens in cults. Yes, this is the exact same thing that happens with cults. It is the mechanism by which cults function. And the interesting thing that it brought up was one potential way to get out of this type of thing is for somehow, what you have to do is you have to do like a total epistemic reset. You have to say like, okay, listen, maybe I don't know anything about the world. Let me just start like reading again with a fresh mind, and from nothing, let's see what I can build up to. And I think that most people probably don't have experience doing that, and the prospect of doing that for the first time is very, very, very scary. But I think in order to like actually, I was kind of convinced by this paper, it seems like in order to break out of these things, you have to be willing to basically do like a total mind wipe reset on figuring out like who do you trust in media and whose word do you actually listen to, and then like starting from there, using like critical thinking and evaluation rather than just like starting with some tribe.
I think, okay, I'm going to spoiler alert my research.
Okay.
Please don't steal this idea, anyone that's listening, because
Gotcha.
it's going really well. What we found is, sorry, I should start with something called the elaborative likely. Hold on, let me check that right name. Elaboration likelihood model. Yeah. So this is what's called a dual process model. And what that basically means is like when you're presented information, you're either going to go one of these two routes. One route is the peripheral route, and this is like your everyday knowledge that gets thrown at you and you're bombarded with, and you make like evaluations about this information just like based on your feelings, your other associations, things like that. And then there's something called like central route processing, which is basically like, okay, I have this information, I'm gonna really engage with it. I'm gonna weigh pros and cons, and then I'm gonna isolate it from all the other information that I have about it. And so basically, what my research right now is doing is, what we think is happening, is that when we present rhetorical questions to people, we think that it is triggering central route processing because it's pointing them in a direction, and instead of proving, or like it's trying to get the person that's asked the rhetorical question to disprove other possibilities instead of trying to support what the question is orienting them towards.
I understand what you're saying. This reminds me of when I'm asking somebody a question. If I ask somebody a rhetorical or hypothetical question, I can immediately intuitively perceive there are one of two different ways they process it. They either engage it with genuine curiosity and they try to evaluate like the question, or they're immediately thinking like, hold on, he's asking me this hypothetical is going to relate to this, and then they start engaging with it in a totally different way because they're trying to preempt wherever you're taking them. And the critical thinking turns off, and then they're just trying to think of like, okay, well, what is he trying to get at here? Yeah, if that's what you mean, if that's related to what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's really, it is asking rhetorical questions is way more effective when it's kind of a novel topic to the person you're talking to. Mm-hmm. But that they still need to have some sort of domain in it. So what we used as an example was, we made a conspiracy theory about the FBI, and only males were responding to the rhetorical questions and being pushed closer to the conspiracy theory by rhetorical questions, because the FBI and law enforcement is largely viewed as a male domain. So they're they feel empowered to talk about it because people like them and look like them are in it. But it's so distant from their actual reality, they don't actually know how any of it works, that they're open to all this information that I'm inserting into their brain. So yeah, when you're more familiar with these topics, the rhetorical questions, obviously, as you might guess, are less effective. But
Sure.
Yeah, I think this whole idea that you're kind of creating a new mode of processing this information by asking rhetorical questions, and then once they have that, then they're more likely to grab onto other similar ideas that follow the same kind of model.
I wonder if they would continue to do that though if they realized that you were drawing like a comparison to something else, or if they would change their interpretation of the rhetorical or hypothetical thing.
I think the priming, like academia on like priming things, like even if you know it, even if you know it's happening to you, your brain does it so quickly and automatically that you're more likely to fall for this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, here's an interesting question. What do you think an attitude is?
I don't know what the point of this question is. What are you asking me?
People always argue about whether your feelings inform your decisions on things, and like within the field, obviously, I'm not gonna expect you to know this, but people disagree on like what the actual effects of an attitude is. Okay, if I show you a picture of SpongeBob, do you think that you automatically start associating that thing with other things?
Probably, yeah.
Do you think that you automatically evaluate it, like good feelings, bad feelings?
I imagine it would probably depend on my
traits?
disposition at the time and the context in which you were showing me the picture.
What if I presented something completely novel to you? Like something that you cannot comprehend? Like if I told you that there was like a 27th dimension, do you think that you could automatically start doing all those natural processes with it?
I would imagine it would depend on when it was presented. I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're asking me. Like if my family died and then you presented me with some novel concept, I imagine I would probably attach this thing to stuff relating to the death of my family. But if you're talking about like showing me something in a vacuum in a room, then maybe not. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. Or if a psychiatrist did this to me when I was going in for a diagnosis for some medical issue, I'd probably associate with a doctor. Or if you're just talking like on a very detached intellectual sense, I don't know what you're... Yeah, what are you asking me more specifically?
I'm trying to ask you basically is, do you think that your brain automatically starts forming attitudes towards things as soon as you're exposed to them?
Like my understanding of us as like subjective human beings and our inability to parse things as computer code would mean that necessarily every single concept you're introduced to is going to go through some sort of subjective emotional filtering. That'd be my guess. I'm pretty sure this is how neurons work. I don't think we just parse things as like code. I'm pretty sure all of it is going to have some sort of emotionality or something attached to it. That'd be my guess. I could be wrong, but...
I mean, like, yeah, we would call that like the affective aspect of attitude. But I don't know if I buy the idea that no matter what, you're going to start associating your current feelings onto a thing, especially if you're in like what we would call a neutral mood. There's arguments on whether or not that actually exists, but yeah.
Okay.
I think it's interesting trying to like figure out how our brains or what our brains are doing automatically and what we're asking our brains to do in the moment.
Sure.
All right. Have a good stream. Bye.
I love you. Be careful, okay, babe?